Absolutely beautiful. Let's try that one more time. Hey, everybody. I am Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. And nothing, but nothing on this computer is working. Can I get a 5x5, please? It would be nice to know that at least that's working. Ah, just in case. Hey, Anna, how you doing? Jennifer Folsom, good to see you. Jason P, what's happening? Yarn Prepper, how are ya? Hey, Kristen Melinda, hope you're doing all right. April, crocheting while listening. Nice. Nice. Well, stick with us until you're too tired. But if you stick around for the first few minutes, this one might get your attention. Sandy Wendy, good to see you. How are you? Third eye open. Allison Metcalf Palumbo. My sister George is here. Helena Flock of Swan Boats. Elizabeth Frazier, good to see you. Shannon Smith, what's happening? Robert, STFU Darcy. Laura Lee Smith, good to see you. B minor. Lumen, good to see you. Couldn't hit a B minor, sorry. Kelly Gerling, Dee Razzle Dazzle. Good. Vixen, good to see you. Marion Calabro, Frank Humphreys, Nesquik Milk. Always been a fan. Tony Helbin, good to see you. Please help me celebrate the fact that my dog Stitch has been seizure-free for 1 year today. Well, I think that's worthy, isn't it? April, congratulations to Stitch. It's got to feel very good to have your friend go a year without a seizure. And he sounds like a good person. I don't think he'd be all this fired up about the dog if he wasn't a really, really good person. So, Stitch, congrats. We're very happy for you here at the boat. Official participation trophy of the lifeboat right there for you. Can't think of a better name. Good to see you. The newest nut, Layla. Betty Olson, how are you? Yeah, it's roll call time. Spike, good to see you. Diane. Hey, Kim Roy. Scooby-Doo. Jam. You loved Reese's Live? Well, that's good. I didn't catch all of it. I pop in there from time to time just to say hi to her. Crafty Witch, good to see you. Gamer Jackie, been sick all day? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Thoughts and prayers going out to Gamer Jackie. Karma Chameleon, good to see you. He is the bestest, sweetest, most precious boy and deserves everything in the world. Sounds about right. Makes perfect sense. Jane Aldrich, good to see you. All right, let's get this thing underway. We'll pop some more people and say hello to them as they come on in. Hey, Casey, good to see you. I definitely will be highlighting people as we get rolling. But you know something, people? I did a show a few days back, and I said, it's weird how things change over time, right? A guy that used to spend a decent amount of his life being pursued by the federal government because of crimes that I was committing. I now have people that watch this show who are employees of the federal government who reach out and tell me things. And I talked about this a few shows back, but you know what? It's taken on a whole new meaning since the press conference that Joel and I talked about the other day. The gentleman that reached out to me said in 2013, if you remember this from the show a while ago, in 2013, they had an investigation into Mr. Combs. That investigation was specifically allegations of underage people, right? And the agent that called me said, no one ever really seemed to understand why it ended. Like, it didn't look like there was no smoke there. It looked like it was being fruitful. And I got the impression, hey, Encarnasoul, I got the impression that he felt as if they made it go away. Who knows? West Coast Fancy Nancy, good to see you. Mary E. Baronzoni, good to see you. I don't know. I really don't. That's not something that I know, but I'll tell you this. If we just take allegedly, if we just take all of the stuff that people are alleging, right? It has been alleged by multiple people that Sean Combs was an informant for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Remember this? This has been alleged by a crap load of people. I am not the first person you have heard say that, I promise. But what happens is you start saying to yourself, man, could he really be working for the feds? Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. It makes so much sense, you have no idea. Do you know how many times the Federal Bureau of Investigation has had a confidential informant, a snitch, whatever you want to call them, right? working for them just like this dude, right? This is a recurring theme with them, and it's never worked out well, right? Every time they do this, it works out really, really badly. And I promise you, they haven't learned. When I started to research how many times the FBI have had a handler or the person that they're handling go rogue, and I had to narrow it down to those cases where people really got in trouble, right? Like Whitey Bulger. People are saying Whitey. Whitey is an excellent example. The FBI's handling of Whitey Bulger is one of the most infamous cases of misconduct. John Connolly was the handler. And John Connolly let this man get away with murder. It's not one of those expressions that people use too often when it's actually legitimately used. Not a clever expression at this point. He was letting this guy get away with murdering people. I got a question for you, though, man. If what is being alleged is true, that means that the feds were onto this 11 years ago. And they say that most of the people that are coming forward on the lawsuit that Joel and I were listening in on the other morning, the vast majority of the cases happened after what? Anybody remember? Huh? You didn't think there was going to be a quiz, did you? Well, for those of you who were not there, 2015, the vast majority of these cases were reported after 2015. I have a problem with this, right? If they had taken care of business in 2013, that means the vast majority of people on this list wouldn't be on this list. There wouldn't be one. What happened? What the hell happened? What happened in 2013 when they were looking into this cat? Because I'll tell you something. I came on here and I said, I got to believe that as this thing unravels, we're going to see youngsters. It just checks out with this dude. You know what I mean? Like the allegations against this guy all lean in that direction. And it just seemed creepier every time someone else talked about it. The stuff that was allegedly going on is just foul as hell. But if this dude's an FBI handler, right? I mean, an FBI snitch, rather. Perhaps, right? This is not something that takes a whole lot of brain pan to think about. If this guy's been handing him over all kinds of information, and if he was, ratting people out left and right, and usually if you're working for, if you got a handler, you're giving them some kind of information, right? People are getting hemmed up. And who knows, maybe the first one was Shine. I'm not being funny. How do we know that isn't how that one went down? How do we know he didn't go in and say, I'll tell you everything, man. It's got to be on the DL, but I will tell you everything. Who knows? But what we do know is a lot of people allege that this guy's an FBI informant. Greg Scarpa. I don't know if you guys know that name. Greg Scarpa was a gangster, and I mean a gangster, not the way people say gangster. He was a gangster. Started a group called Murder Inc. His kid was in the feds the same time I was. Got the same name, Greg Scarpa Jr. He was a violent mobster and an informant for the feds for decades, while continuing to commit serious crimes, including whacking people. His handler's name was Lindley DeVecchio. Lindy DeVecchio didn't do any time. He did the exact same thing that John Connolly did. I promise you. But in this case, what ended up happening, the charges were dropped due to unreliable witness testimony. Who are you going to find from the mob that isn't going to be unreliable testimony? How many victims were allowed to happen because of the feds? I personally feel the FBI is totally corrupt. Well, you know what? This is a popular sentiment by a lot of people. And screw politics, because they don't go anywhere. No matter who gets elected in November, the FBI's there. They're always there. They're one of the constants. And I'll tell you something. I've said they're far more respectful than other agencies, but I will tell you something. They will bury stuff. They will make evidence go away. They will do all kinds of stuff. I have seen it with my own eyes. Plain and simple. I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes. But after Greg Scarpa, you had David Headley, FBI DEA. He was involved in planning the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks. He was an informant for both the FBI and the DEA, but his double life as a, one of those people that carries things inside that go bang, starts with a T word. He went undetected for years. The FBI and the DEA faced intense criticism for not acting on the red flags that could have potentially prevented the Mumbai attacks. this is a recurring theme. This is a recurring theme. You got somebody in there working, and you got to kind of let some stuff slide. Because if you don't let some stuff slide, maybe your informant's going to get hemmed up. And you want that flow of information that dude's bringing to you, right? They're building cases against people. They're getting something out of it. Maybe they're getting pictures, right? It's just a theory. But if you got pictures of everybody on planet Earth to negotiate with, who the hell knows what's going on to get him out of the trouble he was getting in? But he's handing something over to the feds, allegedly, by all of his bodyguards seem to allegedly think that he's to go by the Fed building in New York, allegedly. Allegedly. Right? That is what is being alleged. Got to get kind of nervous when a bunch of people are alleging something. But again, it's just alleged. And he is denying it left and right. However, with everything that has come out on this cat in, say, the last, I don't know, year, right? Like hard concrete stuff, you know, people are still saying, we don't know that her lawsuit, you don't settle a lawsuit in 48 hours for the kind of money that she was asking for if it's BS. Well, there's embarrassing stuff in there. Yeah, but if it isn't criminal stuff, go ahead and embarrass me. Go ahead and embarrass me. He had to know that when he paid that, the floodgates were going to open. It was important enough to him to try to catch and kill that story. Trouble is, the stuff on that, it's all felonious, people. Felonious. Shimmy Dooby Wally, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Glad that you are here, Shimmy. Aaron Cooper, good to see you. Hey, Johnny Scoville. That'd be the Johnny Scoville. Yadira, how you doing? Lisa Trimble, Dale Cox, Susan Ward, Lee. How are you, Lee? Who was president in 2013? Well, that's an interesting question, isn't it? I think if you back up and check that out, it probably was Obama. I think. Yeah, he really is. Yeah, you're talking about Scarpa. Scarpa really was an OG. Unfortunately, he was an OG that was handing information over to the feds. And this is a recurring theme. And the recurring theme, again, is that they have to protect their snitch. And sometimes while protecting this snitch, crimes go on and somebody gets hurt or somebody gets unalived or 75 pounds of really dangerous drugs hit the street because you got to let that load through or the snitch is absolutely going to get found out. So you let 75 pounds of fent come smoking through because the big load, the one that's going to be coming soon, that's the one that's going to make your career, right? I mean, we're talking about tons. So for the good of the situation, we're going to let this small load go through. 2 milligrams will kill you. 75 pounds ain't a small load. You follow me? These are the kind of decisions that have to be made. And you know what? I don't like it. I really don't like it. Mr. Miss Constitutional Rights, good to see you. Paula Penley, Lady Bird Sue, good to see you. You're in full-blown nicotine relapse after 7 years. But hey, at least it's not 6. You know, harm reduction. There's a lot of different ways to get nicotine into your body these days. It is not what it used to be. Yeah, not at all. You can go down to a store and get those little lozenges, kind of look like they come in a chew thing. You can get those. They got gum. I understand there's chocolate now. I haven't seen it, but somebody told me about that. And then there's vapes. And you know, if you buy vapes, not like the ones you get at a 7-Eleven, but if you go to like a vape store, you can control the amount of nicotine that they're putting in it. And that's really beautiful for harm reduction because you can keep stepping that off and stepping it off till you get to the point where, you know, there's really no nicotine in what you're smoking. And that's a whole lot easier on you. That has been my experience anyway. Hello, Naomi. Mo Love, good to see you. Let me see. Mustang Sally. You know what? It's like, I feel like there are so many names now that it is almost impossible to not sing when I do roll call. I mean, how are you going to pass up Mustang Sally? For real. Joe Birdwell. It's an honor to have you here, Joe. Really is. Kelly Gerling. Cooter by the Lake. Here you are. There you are. You're saying no sound. I think everybody else is seeing me, bud. Feds don't do what you think they do, says Badger Life. I tell you what, they've had a very, very bad run of agents who absolutely allowed the handlers who absolutely allowed their criminal, right, their crim to go buck wild. right? To the point of whacking people and doing all kinds of stuff. And in the case of Whitey Bulger, John Connolly knew who Whitey Bulger was going to take out. He went as far as to give him info to make the hit easier, right? And how do you go from being an FBI agent, right, that holds up the badge and gets the picture taken all proud as hell, and you're going to protect the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic? How do you go from there to being Whitey Bulger's you know what? Guy got life in prison, right? Really, anybody that does this should get life in prison. A lot of times they don't. A lot of times they don't. We had a Fed that would just the other day, I did a story on this. There was a guy from he may have been CIA. I think he was with the CIA, but he was in Mexico City, and he was DRing using drugs for the purpose of assaulting women after he drugged them. And there were a bunch of them, like dozens of them. And this is a bad dude. And he got a grip of time. He's not getting out of prison, but all bad. Do you remember the Black Panther Party? Because if we keep going back, we've been doing this a really long time. William O'Neill and the FBI Black Panther Party. The FBI's use of William O'Neill to infiltrate the Black Panther Party, specifically in their targeting of Fred Hampton, has been one of the most controversial aspects of the Bureau's counterintelligence program. O'Neill provided detailed information to the FBI that directly led to the police raid in 1969, where Fred Hampton was killed. The FBI involvement in Hampton's death has been so widely condemned as a violation of civil rights and an abuse of power. In the years following the raid, lawsuits were filed. And in 1982, the government settled a civil suit with the families for $1.85 million, which, I mean, in 1982, it was a lot more money than it is now. 1982, you could buy a Honda for about $1,600, right? I mean, it was a very different time. However, you can't buy people back. And the fact that this is what the feds do, right? This is a game. And it's a game that people get really hyped up on. They get really, really into it. And it starts to become a mission. And they believe that if they can't stop this, if they can't catch this guy, if they can't make this happen, the world's never going to be safe, right? The world's never going to be safe. We got to get this guy off the streets. So if we kick the door and we go in and we start searching and it's not exactly what we thought it was, what's the harm, right? If you know this dude did it, if you know this is a guy slinging dope and doing all that, and he just happens to have a clean apartment, what if you threw a couple of ounces of meth under one of the mattresses, right? Or what if you tossed a pistol into the closet? Right? Because dude's a felon, right? Felon in possession of a firearm in the commission of another felony because he's got dope under the mattress, and dude's going away forever. And this kind of crap happens, and in their head, their justification is, this is a bad dude, right? This is a dude who can't be rehabilitated. We're doing the world a favor if we get this guy off the streets. And you get so into this that you make deals with the devil, right? These informants, every one of them, we're not talking about stand-up people. We're not talking about individuals that you'd want kicking it with you. These aren't guys you'd want in your car, you know? And it's funny because these are names, some of them, that you would think, damn, you know, Joseph Barbosa and the FBI. Joe Barbosa was a violent hitman turned Fed informant, and his case also tarnished the Fed's reputation. Barbosa continued to engage in unaliving folks while under FBI protection. And there were allegations that agents allowed him to commit these crimes in exchange for his cooperation. Furthermore, agents were accused of knowingly allowing false testimony by this Barbosa fella that led to the wrongful conviction of 4 men in a 1965 case that was also for unaliving somebody. The FBI's mishandling of Barbosa was exposed decades later. How do you think that helps out those 4 gentlemen? Then the men who were wrongfully convicted were exonerated. The FBI had to pay a substantial settlement to the victim's family. I got news for you. Keep your substantial settlement. You feel me? I don't want your substantial settlement. I want those years back. 2 decades? I want my time back. Give me 26 to 36 and 36 to 46. How about giving me that back? No amount of money in the world is going to take the edge off of that. Prison sucks. You hear me talk about it all of the time. Putting 4 guys in there that didn't do it, I can't imagine. I can't imagine. And the number of people that used to come up to me when I was in the joint, and you start talking, get to know people. They're like, what are you in here for? I'm like, robbed banks. And then when I got out, I effed up again. Guns, caught a long sentence this time. What about you? Man, I'm not guilty. I'm not kidding. You hear it all the time. I'm not guilty. And I'll tell you straight away, like everybody else in this society, you know what I thought? Yeah, whatever. I was in a group once with drugs, and we went around the circle, and I'm not kidding you. By the time it got to me, I said, I got to be the only dude in prison who did what he's accused of. I'm guilty, man. I pled guilty. You know, everybody else, and I mean, not everybody said they were innocent. There are a lot of people did. A lot of people maintained their innocence, but there are people who said stuff like, you know, hey, what are you in here for? Well, I'm in here because my wife called the FBI and told them I was doing. No, man. You got a little growing up to do. You got a little growing up to do. Renee Noel, good to see you. DEA distribution everywhere in America. Yeah, there's something to that. Hello, Catherine. Good to see you. Yeah, sometimes you got to answer the question. I'm feeling thankful and grateful. Any problems I have are pale in comparison. Perry, I'm glad you're here. I really am. I'm glad you're here. So this is one of those things, people, that it's frustrating because when you look back on this stuff, and I'm picking out cases that are stone cold facts, right? There's no supposing. This is an absolute fact. Now, did a government agency set up a cat named Freeway Ricky Ross to run wild so that he could sell massive amounts of rock cocaine, so that money could be diverted back to our government so that we could do some cool stuff with the rebels in South America? Well, the whole world knows it happened, but where does Freeway fit into this? And an awful lot of evidence out there to suggest that. I'm just saying that is alleged, right? How about Operation Fast and Furious? Don't get political on me, people. This is just an operation that didn't work. Although this was technically an ATF, the FBI played a role in Operation Fast and Furious, which allowed informants to make straw purchases. You understand this concept? So I walk into a store. I'm a convicted felon, right? I can't purchase a handgun. I can't purchase a long rifle. I can't purchase a shotgun, none of that stuff. But I walk in with my phone. And I walk up to the counter and I go, hey, that 1911A right there, that 45, what do you want for that thing? And they tell you the price. Hey, can I see it? They put it up on the counter. You snap a picture of it. Excellent. How about that one over there? And you just take pictures of all of the stuff in there that flips your switch. Then you text those pictures to the purchaser. When they walk in to make those, to buy that is a straw purchase, meaning it's not for them. They're buying it for somebody else, which is a felony, by the way. It's a big felony, especially if the person you're buying it for, you know, that person happens to be a convicted felon. But Operation Fast and Furious allowed straw buyers to purchase guns that were later lost. Those guns ended up used in violent crimes. The FBI, along with other agencies, faced significant backlash for the mismanagement of the operation, particularly after the guns were found to have been used in the killing of a U.S. Border Patrol agent by the name of Brian Terry. This is just a handful of cases. I literally came across about 20. This is something that takes place so often. If I'm to the point now where if I find myself going, so let me get this straight. The law firm didn't have a problem going out and finding 3,000 people that said they were victimized by this dude. In what? 3 months, 4 months? How long have they been working on this? The feds couldn't find any of that in 2013. I'm not buying it. Pepper Street Stunts, good to see you. I'm not buying it. You know what? This is a really good question right here. And I'll hit it briefly. Funny thing happened. He just hired a bunch of new lawyers. Because he's trying to assemble a dream team, right? And just like OJ did, One person's going to pick at one type of evidence and one person's going to pick at digital evidence. And he's hiring a bunch of new attorneys. He hired 2 or 3 of them today. But one of the attorneys that he hired is Sam Bankman-Fried's attorney. If they were in a unit where they couldn't communicate, I suppose it could be a coincidence, but I kind of get the feeling that maybe they're hanging out in the same place, right? Talking to one another. They could just be in the Ultra PC. And if it is the Ultra PC, he's probably in like a 2-man or a 3-man cell or even a little quad. And he's just in there with people just like him. And I don't mean freaks. I just mean people that got to be super protected. They can't put Sam Bankman-Fried around regular folks because they will tax that fool. You know what I mean? He just got victim written all over him. I'm not being mean, but I promise you, if he went in, people would be pushing up on that dude and quickly. Hey, Rip Curl, good to see you, my man. Sparkmeister. Yeah, that's this is walking and quacking like a duck. So everybody's question. Watch any major news source talk about this. And the question becomes to everybody. They ask me, for God's sakes, and the question becomes, how did he get away with this for 3 decades, right? They said they got stuff going back to 91. I mean, we're talking about a long time. How did this happen? Well, I don't know. How did Whitey Bulger get away with it as long as he did? Well, because he had a dude that was making it happen, right? He was too valuable to the feds, so they would let small stuff go. That incident at the recording studio, I know you're going, would that be the kid allegedly essaying somebody, dad allegedly essaying somebody alone, dad allegedly essaying somebody with a bodyguard? Because the number of things that happened I'm talking about the drive-by shooting. You know the one I'm talking about? The drive-by shooting, which somehow seemed to have taken place in a bathroom inside. Allegedly, the person was shot in a drive-by, and they got into the bathroom to get treated and taken care of, everything else. Didn't leave any kind of a trail anywhere. Interesting, really interesting. SoCal friend says he paid people off. SoCal, that's the first. I mean, that's your logical guess, right? Isn't that what everybody would say? And we know he spread money around, right? We watched him beat the bark off of a woman and didn't get in any trouble for that. And he did it by throwing out 10 stacks, right? Racks. $10,000, man. High society. He's bringing 5 of them downstairs and going, here you go. Let's make a deal, right? That's what this scumbag did. However, that won't get you 30 years. That'll get you out of a couple of hotels, right? It will. That'll get you out of a couple of hotels. But the stuff that this dude was doing, he had brushes with the law a lot. Right? He had brushes with the law a lot. And none of them seemed to catch any traction. And that's the kind of crap that happens when you are being handled by the FBI. When you are someone who is a confidential informant, a snitch, someone who's working one-on-one, and it fits a pattern. You understand? It really does. It fits a pattern. Whitey Bulger was ratting on the Italian gangs, telling them anything they wanted to know about the Italian setup because he wasn't in the Italian group, right? Well, this is the same kind of thing. You would take somebody like him and go, hey, there's a lot of other record labels other than Bad Boy. And some of them you might not be very tight with, but I bet you got a pretty good idea of the crap that's going on, right? Maybe you could give us a little information. A lot of people allege that this dude was doing that. YouTube channel Rick Spicer for Prime Minister. Rick, I've never blocked you. Yeah, don't. Yeah, I've never blocked you, man, ever. Miranda Lee, good to see you. Yeah, that's never happened. That's odd. It's really odd. Rick, you've been around a long time. It's strange. Nurse Who Loved Me, good to see you. What's happening? Miranda Lee, how are you? This is not a shocker. It's not a shocker at all, especially if he's working with him. Especially if he's working with him. But with everything that's allegedly going on now, it gets scary, doesn't it? if Malachi, how are you? Run this through just based on my thought processes, right? Let's say that this is the truth and that they've been handling this dude. And let's say they've been handling him since, say, I don't know, December 27th or 28th after the nightclub shooting. Would have been a long time ago, right? What if he's been working with him all that time? And what if he's actually handing him over some pretty serious stuff? Huh? If you run that through to its possible conclusion, then out there you're going to have some people who are going to be basically the John Conley to his Whitey Bulger. There has to be a handler in there somewhere. And I tell you what, those people will do anything to not get caught. They'll do anything. Good Knight reached out and said, I don't think you have any idea how much trouble you're in, Diddy, right? A lot of people have been saying, this guy's got a really decent chance of getting Epsteined, right? Kestrel makes a good point. She says they didn't care, Tommy. The FBI knew Nasser was doing what he was doing for years. I'll tell you this. I walked through the hallway when you first get off Con Air. He was on the bench. Larry Nasser was on the bench getting ready to get on Con Air to go somebody. And I was coming off the plane with like 200 other inmates. And he had already been beat up. I don't know whether he had been beat up somewhere else or he had been beat up in Oklahoma City, or perhaps he got beat up in both places, because my understanding is this guy gets punched a lot. And they may have known. I don't know what the FBI knew in that case. But I'll tell you what. I know in the cases I just mentioned, the prospect of bringing down somebody big was worth so much that they would let their informant be a dirtbag. They would let their informant run wild. And you know what? If it's, you'll hear FBI agents say it. They'll say, the people that we're going after, these aren't great people. These are criminals, right? So you kind of got to give them a little leeway, and you know that. So what does that mean? Like, if the guy's got a habit, maybe you let him cop some dope, because he's going to get sick if you don't, right? So I'm sure that they let some of these guys use. Honestly, I'm sure that there's some of that. But it really becomes frightening if what you're letting them do is run wild and organized crime stuff, right? But you talk about feeling like he had nothing to fear. After his house gets raided, it's alleged that he continued throwing freak-off parties and inviting other people to them. The creepy stuff about this is that these were parties. Allegedly, these were parties. Listen to the press conference from that lawyer and read between the lines. Watch the guy's expression when he starts talking about the people who were there, who saw it happen, or the people who were cheering him on. You can hear that dude getting really pissed off. You can. There are some things that are going to come out of this that are going to curl some people's hair. I believe that. Oh my God, I just watched the movie Blink Twice. It's basically a Diddy white party on an island. Frightening. It was done by Zoe Kravitz, Lenny's daughter. I don't know that film. It's probably a new one, huh? It probably would be. Hold on one second. Oh, how cool is that? How cool is that? I love it. I really do. I love it. And I'm glad that people here help, because it's that kind of place. Kestrel 42 says they knew, Tommy. The gymnasts have proven they told the FBI in the zeros, in the aughts. You know what? That's terrible. It is. It's frightening. And that story, here's when people say, the kid goes in for an audition. How is Diddy going to end up? Allegedly. How is he allegedly going to assault this kid if the parents are right there or they're right in another room? And you think to yourself, Larry Nasser was doing this with the parents in the same room, right? Behind a curtain. Like, it's We did a story on this sick bastard that pretended to be 15 years old when he was really 27. He spent 54 days in school trying to date teenagers and pre-teenagers. God help us. Literally going home with these people, acting like that 21 Jump Street kid. Admittedly, he looked really, really young. He think of the hoops that dude's jumping through to get pictures of underage women, in compromising positions and to victimize them. If you're a lowlife, right? If you're a creep, as J.D. Delay would say, if you're a dude who needs a wood chipper, it blows my mind. It really does. It blows my mind. If they knew about that and they let that go, if they knew about that crap and they let that go, then the feds have got so much to answer for in so many places. For real. Think of the 2013. Before they came out with that press conference or anything else, we did a show where I came out and I talked about this. And I said, an FBI agent called me, and this is a guy that absolutely no two ways about it. His credentials are legit. He's an FBI agent. He was working at that time, and he didn't say they buried this. He didn't say anything like that. It wasn't a whistleblower kind of thing. But what he said was they were investigating him in 2013 for crimes against kids. That was happening in 2013, and everybody seemed to be surprised by the fact that it ended. That was the story that I got from him. Even if he didn't say everybody was surprised, how could you possibly investigate this guy in 2013 and not see a lot of smoke? Everybody that they talk to who's in the know says what? The whole industry's known about this forever. Right? From right about the time this guy started doing what he was doing, everybody knew you stayed away from him. He's a creep. If that's the case, right? If that's the case, and it was just so much that everybody knew, that anybody you talked to kind of knew that this guy was a freak and a weirdo, the feds couldn't figure that out. That sound like a stretch? Or do you think they pulled him in a room and said, "Hey, man, you're making us look bad, right? You need to neck it in. If you're going to work for us, you can't get away with what you keep doing. We might be able to make this go away, right? But we're not going to be able to make a lot of them go away. You need to get your stuff together." And he did. That's my theory. That's my theory. Why else could he have gotten away with the things that he's gotten away with for so long? Anyone else got a theory? I'm open to them, right? I'm not kidding. Hit me with a theory. I want to hear some. SoCal friend. Tiki, good to see you. You wonder about someone hurting Cassie. You mean because of the upcoming case? I've heard other people say this. I don't know that it would benefit them much, right? The number of people who have her lawsuit is everywhere, right? Everywhere. I've read it. It's all over the internet. Everybody's read that lawsuit. If they did something to her and she ended up becoming unable to testify, I don't think there's a judge on earth that wouldn't say her words are going to come in via everything she said in the deposition for her lawsuit. I would imagine that that's what they would do. They would not let her be silenced. And those things have happened in the past, where if somebody was successfully eliminated, but there was an original interview or any of those things, they'll bring it in and read that to the jury and say, sorry, but the person was unalived. Those kind of things have an effect. I think that she is probably safe. But I think that there are probably some people out there whose names haven't come up yet that might be in serious trouble. Because if you're him, you know which ones, right? You know which ones were really messed up. Because if he did this as often as he did it, how many times do you think he crossed the line? How many times do you think that sick bastard did something and went, oh man, like we got to clean this up? Allegedly, he broke his ex's nose, Kim Porter's nose, and they had to fly in a plastic surgeon, right, to help get the thing fixed and all of that. That's been alleged by a bunch of people. So there have been mistakes, right? It's also alleged that he had a backdoor entrance to certain hospitals near where he lived so that he could bring victims there. You know, who are the people letting him in? Are these nurses? Are these doctors? Are they nurse practitioners? What are they? Because these people need to be prosecuted as well. Cherish High Vibe says, your topic was something I was worried about after the raids. Time to pay up. Just saw a comment on another video. He thinks he'll get out, and some think he should. Yeah, he'll become a bit of a folk hero type of a thing. People with the right narrative, they're just going after this dude, right? Because he was a successful entrepreneur and he was a black man. And I promise you, they're going to try to sell that to as many people as they can, right? For real. And there is a segment of the culture that's going to jump all over that. It's disgusting. It is. They're not going after this guy for that. They're going after this guy because he did some really sick things to a lot of people. And do you realize how hard it would be to orchestrate this size of a conspiracy for a case? Good God, all of the moving parts. Two people, right, can keep a secret, providing one of them is already deceased. The number of people, if this were a conspiracy, the number of people that would have to be involved in it, right, to get this guy, there's no way. People would be talking, they'd be selling their story. No way. This is just a guy that did a lot of sick crap. I really believe that we're going to find out that there was a lot of protection being afforded to this guy at some higher levels. And I'm going to make friends right now, but I don't care. I really don't, because sometimes you can't cover something without kind of covering something. He did a massive amount of work for one of the political parties, right? A massive amount. And it was designed to get out the vote, right? And this was at a time where they were doing a beautiful job of delivering that wasted vote. The one that never comes in, that 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, kids that normally don't vote because there's other things that are more important, like drinking and having sex and, throwing a frisbee. But he and his people became community organizers for a political party and got really into it. And before anybody says, well, when he started Revolt, his label for hip hop and young culture, right? Youth culture, all things youth culture. I think that's what it was called. Revolt, hip hop and all things youth culture. He got a huge break to do that. And he got it from someone that he had worked with when he was when he was helping get the vote out and doing all of those things. By the way, you know how political I am? I'm not. But you chase these things down. I'm not doing much of a story if I don't tell you that this guy spent a grip of time working to get out the vote for a particular party. You can go and look it up. It's not hard. Cedric Walker, Sir Tedrick, good to see you. North Star. Feeling constant, are you? Isn't it the Northern Star? It's supposed to be really constant. I think it is. Pretty damn sure it is. Kaiman Zimam. Kentucky men. Yep. I'm just going to go with, hey, Kama. Yeah. Hey, Bateman. Good to see you. After Tupac, and he did the unaliving of Heavy D passed away. All of the things that took place during that time, I think we're going to see a lot of stuff get dragged back up. I really do. Hold on one second. Sandra says, I'm coming in late, but something that I wanted to ask on one of your lives about Diddy is why now? And what part of the investigation, the raiding. Lastly, why did they raid his New York residence? Why didn't they raid his New York residence? I think, and I could be wrong, but I think as far as why didn't they raid all of the residents, because I think that the information that they had was that the places that were the real setups for recordings were done were the homes that he went after. I think other intel also said that if there was digital stuff stored, it was probably going to be there. I bet they knew that the pews were all in there. They knew what they were gonna see when those doors got kicked in. That's my humble opinion on that. And they hit both of them because there was digital stuff on both sides. And I would imagine they found that out from people like Little Rod, people like Gene Deal. They're talking to a lot of people. You got to know that. They're talking to a lot of people. I'm not mad at any of them either before you get that messed up. I'm not mad at any of them. That dude's a dirtbag. I definitely think he was an informant. It would add to the reason he thought he was untouchable. Maybe he got some of those people on tape. Well, here's the thing. That's the kind of stuff that he'd be a real bonus. Because if you're saying, what could he give to the FBI, right? That it wouldn't be completely obvious or be a bust. I don't know. How about if the FBI said, you know what I'd like you to do? I'd sure like to hear this person and this person have a conversation because supposedly they're beefing and it's supposedly over this one incident. How hard would it be for Puff to say, hey, man, you guys need to work this stuff out, right? I'm freaked out by this. Get in that room, go work your crap out, get it fixed, and don't come out until you're ready to have a drink. Every room in the guy's house is tapped, right? Turn over that conversation to the feds. I imagine that make you real popular. Feds can't use it in court. They can never say they have it, but it'll tell them everything they need to know, and then they can go build a case based on it. You got two big houses, and every room is wired for sound and video. You're a wet dream for a company that gathers information for a living, right? Like all of those alphabet agencies. You feel me? Any of those alphabet agencies. I am thoroughly bummed out. I am thoroughly bummed out at the amount of time that they spent before going arrested Diddy. If they were working on his case in 2013, and that I got from a really good source. In 2013, they were investigating this cat for people underage. For people underage. None of those underage witnesses would be underage now, right? Even the ones from 2015. These are all going to be young adults. Some of them not so young adults. I think we're going to see some of those people testify. I really do. One of the questions that somebody asked earlier was, why now, right? And I'll tell you what I think about why now. I think the way that Cassie did what she did didn't give his handlers, whoever that happens to be, right? Whoever he's working with and for or whatever, because I don't think he's doing it on his own. But I think that when Cassie dropped that bomb, all bets were off. Now you're sitting there, let's say it is the FBI, right? Allegedly. Now the FBI is going, what? How do we save him now? What are we going to go do? And we got to whack someone to do this? No, we're not going to turn into Conley. I'm not going to prison. This dude's going to have to deal with what he did. And, they probably told him, we're not making that go away. Pay her, do whatever you got to do. He paid, and the floodgates busted open because I believe, this is me, I believe that there's a really good chance if he was untouchable for the same reasons we're speculating on, I'll bet you everybody knew that. I bet she bragged about it, right? I'll bet you he said stuff like, you ain't getting me, man. I am bulletproof. I'll bet you he was a jackwagon about the whole thing. But once that first lawsuit came forward, I mean, how fast did everybody go? I'm sorry, what? He settled a what? So I guess nobody's protecting him anymore, huh? And then boom, 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 boom. It just kept coming. How many witnesses do you think will testify? 50 or more? Can't imagine how long the trial will be. It's going to be an incredibly long trial. It's going to be an incredibly long trial. I promise you. But I bet they're going to pare down the witness list to enough people to destroy him. But I don't necessarily think they will put every person on the stand. I think they will allow all of those people to make impact statements, like the Nasser case, right? I believe it was the Nasser case, wasn't it? Pretty sure it was the Nasser case where there's a lot of people that came in and had an opportunity to tell him what a piece of crap he was. When is my next STS session? Joel and we might be doing something tomorrow. I think we might be doing something tomorrow. You know, a gangster is a gangster is a gangster. I'm not. I never said anything about the party being dirty. What I said is he was super into this group and this organization. When you bring in votes and cash, uh, you're certainly more valuable to people. And if people have the ability to pull some strings at uh, a police station, or if they have the ability to get some people to back off a little bit, they'll do it. And this isn't speculation. It's been this has come out how many times, and it's come out on both sides. This one just happens to have to be owned by them, but it happens to all of them because it really is a filthy, disgusting sewer up there. We don't, Nicola Mack. We don't, and I'll tell you why. In my opinion, because the truth died with Epstein, right? The truth died with Epstein. Busby, the attorney that is suing Sean Combs, did you see the number of people on that list that are being sued? He might be the head of this snake. He might be the figurehead of this, but they are suing everybody. If you own the nightclub where this assault took place, you knew about it, you did nothing about it, they're going to sue you. If you sent the crew in the morning to clean up after all the foul stuff that you found, that cleanup crew, they didn't do anything about it. They're going after them. Like, they really are going to change the mindset, I think. And that's powerful. Because now if you're going after executives who wear really nice suits and Bruno Magli shoes, I think you got a better shot of it's not as important. If he unalives himself, this case isn't going to die. There was nobody with Epstein. There was Ghislaine Maxwell, but it wasn't, the info. He was ready to talk. I think that's why he's dead. That's my personal opinion. He was ready to cut a deal. He was ready to do whatever he had to. And that would have included saying who he worked for. And whoever he worked for, there's some bad mamba jambas. Because to get into the area of a prison that they got into and to make it look like that dude did what he did, they had to pull off a lot of crap. And I mean, they didn't do a good job, right? It seems like if you look at it, you're somebody that kind of knows the day-to-day running of a facility like that. It's a BS thing. There's no way you're going to believe it to be true. But nevertheless, there's no film, right? There's no evidence. There's nothing to link anybody. But it's pretty ugly. I'm tripped out. I'm tripped out by the idea that that a federal government may have had the ability to take this guy out before 2015. If that investigation took place, I think we need to know why it ended. I think we need to know why nobody got arrested, right? Got to be paperwork out there. I don't think they shredded that stuff. There was an investigation. I'd sure like to see that paperwork. I'd sure like to see what they thought was happening and how, in God's name, when they investigated it, they saw nothing. Because it sure as crap looks like it has been. How often do you have to be doing this that we're already over 3,000? No. Are a lot of them going to be BS? I hope not. I hope not. I don't think any of the best ones are going to get through. I think they're going to vet the crap out of people. But does that not mean that there are some people showing up there and saying, yeah, I was at a party that maybe never went to anywhere near it? This kind of money is going to bring dirtbags out of the woodwork. It's the nature of the beast. But they seem to be doing a pretty good job of trying to vet all of these. Why, thank you, Rick. I appreciate that. When you are prime minister, you think of me. Give me a job in your administration. Yeah, you know what? Sometimes it's hard when you get here late. It's hang out with us, and you can always double back. DCD 416. I don't know that I've ever said hello to you. What a great question, though, right? I assume he didn't go to jail for the beating video. We'll take it a step farther. He didn't get arrested. He didn't get questioned. Nothing happened to him at all. Nothing. Now, he sent a text to Miss Ventura right after the incident to say, hey, you got to help me out. I got 6 kids. There are police officers. I'm surrounded by cops right now. You're going to leave me? Seriously, you're going to abandon me like this? That's the text he sent to the woman after the beating he put on her that we watched on film. One that, as somebody in the group has pointed out in the past, he's done this so many times that he was able to beat her that badly in a towel without losing it, one-handed. I would say he has spent a lot of time of his life slapping women. Ugly, really, really ugly. But the reason we're revisiting this is because if you go back and watch the show I did where I mentioned the should have a Fed badge on it, and I said a gentleman from the FBI reached out to me, right, and said that they were doing this in 2013. That they were looking into him in 2013, and they pulled the plug on the investigation. I want to know why. I think everybody should know why. It's too arbitrary a decision for an agency to decide what is too much. I mean, what kind of information is worth this kind of, and here's the thing, Perry, it's great, good comment. No information is worth this. It's not the FBI who goes rogue. It's the John Conleys that go rogue. These people, I mean, pick an industry, pick whatever you do, right? You're a professional athlete. You're a golfer. You want to win tournaments. You want to be as good at it as you possibly can. You're a teacher. You want to be the one in the school that everyone says, that's probably the best educator we have. Kids that leave that room actually got a benefit out of it, right? Anything you do, in theory, you should be striving to be the best at it, right? Don't you think? It happens to agents. And these kind of cases make people's careers, right? And I don't mean the Diddy part. If you got him as an informant and he's giving up big things and you're doing drug busts, I mean, if a guy goes, yeah, man, we're making some serious cash. You know, we're bringing pills in. There's some stuff coming in next Wednesday. It's massive. It doesn't have to look like there was ever a snitch, right? If these people are good at it, all you got to do is T-bone that guy at an intersection. For real, T-bone him at an intersection. Get him a little bit in the back because it's going to spring the trunks. It's going to do everything. Now we're talking about exigent circumstances. Now we're not searching. We're just helping you get the stuff out of one car to put in another, and then you start looking panicky. There are so many ways that information of the variety that this kind of operation can bring in is worth more than cash, worth more than gold, worth more than diamonds. We talked about King James the other day. How much cash could you make if you could just call the dude, right? How about if you could just call up somebody like him and say, I'm betting the under on tonight's basketball game, and I'm also betting against your team. So you're going to have a really bad night tonight. I could use the money. And you put, $5,000 down on a 2-team parlay, you're going to make an awful lot of cash. And having an athlete, the mob's done this forever, right? The guy from Goodfellas, Henry Hill, right? The guy that he was a dirtbag. Henry Hill fixed college hoop games. That's what he did. That's what he went to Lewisburg for fixing sports events. Because if you know what the outcome of a sporting event is going to be, you cannot imagine the money that you could make on it. You can't. Right? It's just you can print money if you've got an athlete on. Think of all of the athletes. Think of all of the people that were at this guy's parties. Right? Think of all of the big names in everything. Big names in everything. Diphenhydramine, my allergies are never going to go away, unfortunately, people, because these aren't allergies. Buddhist beer. You know what? I always need maple syrup. God bless Buddhist beer. I love maple syrup. It's my favorite thing in the world. In fact, I actually, I've told people in the past, the stuff that I vape is it's food grade. It's made by this one little place, and everything in it, it's all food grade stuff. So it's not like the poison, just way easier on the lungs. But if it tastes like maple, it's because it is maple. They're using real maple syrup or whatever. And I thought, oh man, if I buy that, I'm never going to quit vaping. If I get something that tastes like maple, I am never going to quit vaping. So I didn't get it. But when I saw it in there, it freaked me out. Perry said I slept 8 hours. That would be solid hours. for the first time since age 11 after I quit drinking at 52. How great was that? For real. How great was that? Purple Groovy says even Shirley Temple was sexualized in a short film called War Babies. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry to hear that. I was unaware of that, but that's a bummer. Thank you, Caroline in Canada. You're very kind. Hey, Nancy. Oh, wow. On a break from packing my childhood home. You know what? You can always stop in for a laugh, and hopefully we'll get you at least one of those. You know, it's still on and off again, but mostly I get at least 6 hours, and that's 100% improvement. I get it. I had the worst sleep. Yes, correct, Miranda Lee. Ray Liotta played him. I had the worst insomnia for a really, really long time, and thank God I'm over it, right? Thank God I am over it. I have rebooked my flights to Bug Tussle. So for all of you who are concerned, I will be filming from the Lifeboat East Coast, the East Coast Lifeboat office. That's where we will be doing our filming here shortly. I should have been there already, just didn't work out. It's one of those things. Hello, Tara. Good to see you. Saku. Look, everybody's bailing. I wasn't leaving yet. I was just telling you that that I've got that packed up. This is what I want. More than anything in the world, this is what I want. We are going to go into waves in and out of this Diddy stuff. I went today and I made a list of the most ridiculous headings that I can find on this subject matter. And you would not believe some of the things. Okay, so if you just start looking at thumbnails, Ashton Kutcher has left the country, right? He ran the second that they arrested so-and-so. So did Steve Harvey. They have listed at least 4 or 5 people who were friends with him that have left the country. The trouble with that is none of it's true, right? None of it's true. I love the East Coast. Love East Coast. Yeah, real maple syrup. The other stuff is poison. No, I mean, yeah, real maple syrup. It is good in coffee. But I'll be really honest. I tend to just drink it. I know that's not too cool, but I tend to just tend to drink it. But I've been doing that since I was a kid. I mean, honestly, where I grew up, that stuff is in your veins. Krushik 559. Good to see you. How are you? Glad that you're here. You've puffed since you were 12. Wow, Wharton. Hey, Wharton, I appreciate you making the effort. That's, I get this crap all the time too. People will reach out and say, you know what? I'm 56 years old, man. Is that too late to quit? No. No. If you're still getting up in the morning and breathing, it's not too late to quit. And I promise you, your quality of life is going to change. You wouldn't believe it. It sucks for the first 2 weeks. Keep it real. First 2 weeks are hell. And then you got to start doing work. That first 2 weeks, once the hell is over, life doesn't get fantastic. I'm not going to sit here and BS you. It doesn't. But it gets you to ground zero. Now we can start building a fantastic life. Right? Now you can start rebuilding. There's some things that you can do. If you don't do them, you're going to get exactly what you've gotten every single time you've tried to quit. It's just how it's going to be. Or tried to pick up a habit, because it's the same function. Whether you're quitting something or picking something up, it's the same function in the brain, right? It's learning how to do something habitually or how to stop something that is habitual. And I promise you, right? I promise you, it's a formula. And do you know why I believe that to be true? Because I didn't think it was possible to quit smack. I didn't think there was any chance in hell I was ever going to be able to get off of tar, right? Pipe dream stuff. But I got off of it. And in the process, I got healthy, except I was big. I mean, if you looked at me without a shirt on, I was in really good shape, but I was overweight. And then I started having the problems with my heart. And when my doctor said, here's how much weight you have to lose, and it was a lot of it. He's like, you're not going to be able to probably lose that much weight, but if you do this, I was like, why wouldn't I be able to? And he's like, well, it's a very difficult thing to do. I said, it won't be. I'm going to follow the exact same damn game plan that I did to get off of smack. Because if it could get me off of that, I promise you it could get me off of the extra cheeseburgers I'm crushing, or the extra, whatever I've been eating. Because it's always the matter of it being extra. If you just eat enough, you never have to worry about that. And I have been maintaining my weight since I lost it all. And I feel fantastic about it. But what it comes down to is every time programming. Are you doing the same thing every day? Cheesy as hell. Do you get up in the morning and make your bed? If you don't, there's no chance you can have a great day. Not a perfect one, because that should be the first goal of the day. First chance you got to say, I'm organized. First chance you got to say, I'm not going to live the way I used to. First chance you got to say, this really is the first day of the rest of my life. Because I don't normally make the bed, I'm going to make it. And I'm going to make it well. Right? Then I'm going to go and I'm going to brush my teeth. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to journal. Right? And then I'm going to do a workout. If it's 5 minutes of walking, if it's 2 push-ups, I'm going to do something physical. By the time I'm walking out the door, I've got 5 things, right, under my belt that I said, I need to do that, and I did it. I need to do that, and I did it, right? The bed's made. I did yoga, right? I fed the cat. I cleaned the kitty litter. Everything I got to get done, I do. I do it in a routine in the morning. And when I walk outside, I own the shit. I'm sorry. It's not like the old days. I don't walk outside feeling like a failure. I walk outside feeling like a hero. I walk outside like I got my you-know-what together. I got a handle on this. But the mindset may sound silly, right? I promise you it was a mindset that kept me putting needles in my arms for decades. Right? The mind is a pretty powerful thing. You can get a hold of it, right? You can try to tame that thing. Or you can let it beat the piss out of you. Sorry. You can let it take over. It's not your friend. It never has been your friend. I promise you. Hey, Koala Crafts. I'm not laughing at any of you. Someone's watching. Hey, Dennis N. Someone's watching something in the other room, and I actually heard Quagmire going, giggity, giggity, giggity. That always makes me laugh. I ate a half a gummy a couple of months back. I swear the entire night could not have even spelled motivation. I use cannabis to go to sleep for no other reason, right? I do not use it for any other reason because if I were to take it at a time when I wasn't trying to sleep, I am afraid that my ass will actually grow roots. Happened once before, and I get attached to a couch, and I'm never able to leave. 3 and 4 years can go by, and all you're doing is this one. Right? One of those things. One of those things. All right, people. I'm going to be back tomorrow. I promise you. And I got a really rowdy segment that I'm hoping to start this week. And it's got nothing to do with anything you've ever seen on the boat, but I will give you a hint. I will be out of the office and in the field. And I'm actually pretty fired up about it, man. I am really fired up about it. All right, people. I am the Admiral. And I will see you all tomorrow. Between now and then, you know what I want you to do? I want you to reach out and try to save somebody. Bless you guys.